Hi, this is the SMG Blacklist Podcast, Episode 2, The Alchemist, number 101 on the Blacklist. I'm your host, Jacqueline Grosky, and with me is my co-host,
Melissa Maxey.
and we'd like to talk about this week's episode, The Alchemist, thus named for his penchant for using chemistry on his victims.
Yeah, he was pretty interesting. Starting out the show and kidnap a girl, and she's in an airplane with another guy, and she wakes up.
I thought it was more like last episode where it was the roofie incident, and I thought,
Yeah.
it was funny. I thought, what are we going through this thing again? But it was totally different.
Oh, it was completely different because she woke up and she's like looked at herself and she's totally different, completely different than what she looked like before. And she picked up the guy's passport in front of her and woke him up, and
Right.
she was talking to him like, what are we doing here? Why are we on this plane? And he's like, I don't know. And he looks at his arms and he's like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
I don't have
These
tattoos.
I don't have these. What is this? Yeah.
Why do my teeth hurt? So the alchemist takes.
Yeah.
So
That was a good little plug. I like that.
yeah. So the alchemist he takes people. He makes them disappear by finding two other people, altering their appearance, and they're burned beyond recognition and have to be identified by DNA, which we find out that he's replicated.
Yes, and I like what Red calls him, forensic virtuoso.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Helps people disappear.
He does, and he seems to take great joy in it too.
Oh yeah, it was an art form for him. It reminded me kind of a Frankenstein aspect, like mad scientist.
Oh yeah, and of course we find out that he had faked a medical degree and had actually been working, and then gets into a DNA facility, which is of course how he figures all that out.
Yeah.
And I've seen other episodes where they had, like, one guy was trying to cure his daughter, and I thought maybe that's where they were going with this, but
Yeah, I thought that's what they were going to, because we get introduced to a lady and the daughter is a diabetic, and I thought maybe he was, it was like he was a good guy that turned bad, or he was trying to get, that's not how it turned out.
yeah, and they kind of glossed over that one where he was such a loner that he just still imagined that he had a family life. Even the wife had talked about the fact that science was that challenge, and I felt like they could have incorporated that, but they didn't, so we moved on.
Yeah.
So the informant lookalikes, they wind up in a plane crash, and of course it makes all they're looking now is dental records, which of course explains why the guy's teeth was hurting, because he had altered the teeth.
Yes, he changed the teeth to look like someone else's. That's when, they start on the trail of trying to figure out where he's at, how he's doing it. It was kind of weird this episode because they had Liz and Red separated. Like, she was working this case, but he was like working something else. He was in a totally different facility.
Right. Well, he's at the Defense Fund, which seems like an outside group trying to monitor government activity, but in fact is mostly funded by Red, and he's still looking for that mole.
Yes.
And so Red won't come in to the government facility anymore until that mole is found. So he's working with his, I guess, daughter, but he's side until they figure out who the mole is.
Right.
That kind of leaves us still in the hunt for the mole.
Yeah, and they did a little bit of side stuff with Liz's husband. He still wants to adopt a child. He came back suddenly, like he had left town, the episode before, and then all of a sudden he comes back and he says, I got there and I thought about it, and I really need to talk with you about what's going on, and decided to just come back. So that was a little weird.
That was very weird.
He keeps disappearing and coming back, and how he wants to adopt a child, and he's like, we have this child, this lady's going to give birth in 6 weeks. Are you ready to give up your job and at least spend more time at home so we can have a family? And it seemed a little off.
It does seem
like
off.
He's trying to ground. It's like he's trying to, I don't know, ground her or keep her closer. Like he's trying to, I don't know. I know there's something off about him. We know that there's something, like he's working with a network, or,
well, we know,
we haven't really been.
We know from a previous episode that he popped up in the middle of so many other investigations.
Yes.
when they started looking at his portfolio, somebody had disappeared, and there he is going out that same hotel.
Yeah.
Somebody else gets killed. He's
And
coming
he's
out,
in the area.
and he's
Yeah.
right in the area in the middle of nowhere near their home.
Yeah.
And
So was this a job he was going on? Like,
it's
did he go on a job and he came back?
it sure seems like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And of course, if he's doing some kind of wet work and she's in this FBI team, it's in his best interest to settle her down.
So she doesn't figure out what he's,
Right.
because she's been warned. He doesn't know she's been warned about him. So she is watching him,
Well, he
paying
knows,
attention.
but he knows that he got tortured and captured, and of course he knows that she's seen the passports and all of the things that, of course,
Which he claimed were his.
he's claiming that they were planted.
Yeah, he's claiming they were planted. He's claiming the whole thing was, someone else set him up.
So
which I don't believe that.
I don't know if you've seen any kind of Twitter chatter, but do we really believe that he's, just because you say that you're not involved in this, and all these things have been popping up, that anybody believes that he's not an agent for somebody?
Oh, everybody believes he's an agent for someone.
Yeah,
all the chatter on Twitter, everybody's talking about it. They have all these questions about him and his role. How did him and Liz meet? Why are they together? What is the purpose?
Because when we see him at home, she blows off, two or three meetings that they're supposed to have. One of them where he's actually made the dinner and he's truly disappointed. So I think there's a mix of his clandestine work and really wanting a relationship. But I think in the end, he's there for a reason.
That's possible, just because they've been in close proximity for so long. I mean, they're married. So, I mean, it may be that it was a job, but now it's not so much a job anymore for him.
Right.
But she's a rookie. I mean, she's just starting in her career. And,
so,
she knows that she's not going to be able to keep the expectation he has of her to be home more often, to be with children, she's just starting her career. I mean, how can it's a hard balance for her to balance home and work, especially in the field she's in, being a profiler. So, and the danger and everything.
I guess, their marriage could be kind of explained where she wasn't in the field. She was kind of in the background as a profiler. They meet. He can kind of explain away his little travels. So maybe the marriage is genuine, but it's turning out a lot more inconvenient than he thought it would be.
Yes, because Red stepped into the picture. Because otherwise she would have just been a profiler in the background, but he specifically wanted her to help him.
Yeah. I think
those are other questions people have.
Just my opinion, but
why was she chosen specifically?
I think it's going to be funny. I think they're going to ignore the fact that she wouldn't have been in the field otherwise, and that he's been put kind of amongst her because of her relationship with Red, which nobody knew about, but we're supposed to kind of forget that.
Yeah, because everybody believes that Red is her father,
right?
Even though he claimed that he's not.
Well,
he claims that he's working, that he knew her father.
In the meeting with her father in the hotel.
In the hospital.
Yeah, in the hospital, said, hey, hospital. I could never, you are her father. I could never be her father. It seemed pretty clear. Of course, they could write around it, but it just seems pretty dang clear that
he is her father.
That
yes,
he is her
it's
father.
Very clear.
I think it might behoove both of us to kind of go back in that episode and see if there's a little loophole if he's actually talking around that fact. But there was no reason that he would have killed her stepfather.
Yeah, because the stepfather said that he wanted to tell her, this information, and he's like, well, you can't tell her.
Right.
You can't tell her anything.
So is he protecting himself, or, are they going to use that little loophole and say, he's actually protecting somebody else?
Well, those are the questions that we hope will be answered by the end of the season.
Yeah, is she, Papa Red, or is it Uncle Red?
Uncle Red.
So, which would still be a blood tie and be enough of a motivation to protect her, because even the member of his team, which he had the most loyalty to, he was still willing to sacrifice, but he was not willing to sacrifice her. So, it's kind of
so she's important to what he needs. He has a tendency to use what he, use people to get what he needs. And he needs her right now. He needs her for something. We don't know what.
That's true, but boy, when she came under the gun, when that background organization
With Anslow?
with Ansel Garrett, when they hired him, there definitely was, when she came under fire, it wasn't just the fact that he still needed her, that I think.
No, he had there was chemistry there. Like, you could tell that he was distressed about it.
Oh yeah, I think its blood is thicker than water there.
Yes. So speaking of Liz's husband, there was baby shower, which was kind of bizarre turn of events for the show, that they had this baby shower with teachers and they came over, and the diaper changing and the tasting the baby food, which is disgusting. But Jolene, I mean, just a little bit before that, they show this woman, and she opens this file, and it's Tom. It's a file of him and information about him, and then all of a sudden you see her at the baby shower.
Right, subject Tom Keene, and she's the one in charge of. So is she working for Red, or is she working for somebody else?
That's a good question, because I don't know. My gut feeling tells me, because Red was looking up. He was looking her up on the computer. Like, he found her information. Now, so is he using her to find out information about Tom? Or is he just looking her up because he wants to find out who her boss is?
Now, I thought he was looking up, I saw the name, it was Lucy Brooks. Is that the same?
Yes.
That's the same girl, because I thought...
That's the same girl.
I thought that showed her as deceased.
He did. So she was one of the people that the Alchemist had hidden.
Oh.
He created this whole, she's deceased, but she's working in an organization. So
she may not be working for Red. He's looking for her, and
he wants to find out who her boss is.
Right. And of course, on that list, at the very end, they've gotten the Alchemist list, and we know she's on it.
Yes.
So he had Liz go after the Alchemist specifically to get
for the
list, so now he knows Lucy Brooks is definitely alive.
Yes.
Of course, we know that she's out there investigating Tom.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So we're still searching for the mole, and we're at the defense fund, which apparently Red is the major contributor, but it's a young group of activists, I guess, that with varying IQs that are looking at what the government is doing, and they've got tons of these shredded documents. And this is the only lead, and Red says, we could assemble this, but it would just be too much. He's like...
I like what he says. He says, I don't really understand how all this works. I just love the smell the machines make.
Yeah. My favorite quote was when the guy asks if he really wants, are you being sarcastic, or do you really want me to go through all this? He says, I hate sarcasm and I love puzzles.
That's a good one.
So they start going through these bags and bags of shredded material. They're laying them all out. We find a German company has put a program together that can put the pieces of the puzzle together. And it's very detailed. It's by font, paper thickness, and all these. Makes you think, I'm sure this technology exists somewhere. And I thought that was...
I was thinking about that too while I was watching.
Everybody's taking all their things to these shredding places, and it's like, if somebody really...
it's not really gone when it's shredded.
No, it's like, so it's like, why do I even shred stuff? I might as well just throw it in the trash. That way, at least anybody trying to get my identity can do it in 2 hours instead of 30. So
yeah.
So they're searching for the mole. They're starting to get the identity of the two informants that disappeared. How did they get out to Budapest?
I don't remember.
They're tracking.
They just appeared out there. That was a little bit weird about the episode, because it was moving along at a steady pace, and then all of a sudden it started bouncing all over the place. Like, it was like they didn't have enough time, so they were trying to shorten it. And all of a sudden, Liz is out in Budapest and they're undercover, and it was a short sequence. And then they were back. And I was like, wait a minute.
They picked up some activity when they were doing a computer search. And they picked up some activity out in Central Europe off of some sort of credit card that they had used. So anyway, it tracks them it tracks them out to Budapest very, very quickly, as you say. Of course, they've captured the man.
Yeah, they captured the man that was supposed to have died on the airplane.
Right. So they start to get some information on him, and the alchemist catches, he knows the cat's out of the bag. So he
Yes.
picks the wife up.
Yeah, he picks the wife up, takes her back to his place, and I mean, you can see the writing on the wall when she walked in there.
The funny thing is I didn't notice the big sheet of plastic.
No, because they didn't show that until right after he killed her.
Right.
But I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, it was, and it kind of reminded me of
And
a
I mean, I made a comment to myself afterward. I was like, "Oh, when you walk into a room, don't step on the big square sheet of plastic."
right. That's usually always a bad sign.
That's a bad sign.
And they've had people on the list that when things go bad, they'll kill the people that they'll kill everybody that's involved, even the people that hired them. So this has kind of been a thread throughout the series is you have to get everybody that's involved.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's anybody left at the end. Makes you wonder if there's going to be anybody left at the end of the season because they're eliminating everybody.
Right. There's, over 100 on the list, so we've got very many to go, but these assassins will, if things go wrong, you got to watch who you pay for. They may get you out there, but if something goes wrong, they're going to kill the people that hired them.
And then the alchemist shows up in the interrogation room. That was good.
Yeah.
He just walks right in.
Yeah, I think that's because once he knew he was found out, he had no reason for the anonymity. And so
no, he's just going to go straight for the source.
Right, so they're looking for the unsub. They get a picture of this guy, and Garrett's eyes go open wide, and oh crap, runs back, and the informant's already dead and foaming at the mouth, screaming, "Get a medic!"
Too late.
We're kind of back to they're getting the shredded information. Not just they got a little shred of evidence with a little serial number. And so they're looking at this guy, and they figure the alchemist is some sort of lab rat.
Yeah, and that's when they figure out that he has a lab. I can't remember where the lab was at exactly, but they found it and they went in there, and it was after he had already taken a subject there, and they showed us him in there working on someone, changing everything about her. She was hooked up to a machine that was putting blood in her or taking blood out, and he had all sorts of diagrams on the wall and things he was going to change about her.
Yeah, and of course, we never did see her, so you start to think, where are they going with this?
Yeah, where are they going with this? Yeah, who is this person?
And of course, at that point, we're getting more information from the shredded paper. This is where, right after that, is where the unidentified woman has popped up searching for Keen. And so I guess her name that she's telling Tom is Jolene.
Yeah, and that she's a photographer with a gallery. She gives him a little spiel about.
Well, she was one of the teachers, and she wanted him to go to the gallery. And
then she tells him,
"Oh, that it's her." Yeah, it's funny because
it's her work.
Yeah, why would anybody do this? That's ridiculous. And
she's like, "Oh, it's mine." Oh.
I know.
And I was like, "Ooh."
Well, she's totally playing him, getting him to kind of interact, flirt a little bit. Now he's feeling bad. Now he has to make it up to her. Now he's, he's kind of...
Yeah, she totally got him.
She reeled him in, got him.
Yeah, she completely reeled him in.
I think we're going to see a bunch of her.
Oh, yeah, I wonder if they'll play it into the next episode.
And it's funny, one of the perps, she's the one that when he's kind of calling her out for being selfish and not taking the baby classes like she's supposed to. And
oh, yeah, they got in a huge fight with Jolene in the bathroom.
Yeah, and so she comes out, and of course Liz walks out, and on the way out, he just yells at she's being selfish, and Jolene's the one that calls him out and says, "Selfish? You're gonna pay for that one, dude."
Yeah, that was a little funny.
Yeah, when the secret agents are telling you the stuff you're doing wrong with your marriage, it's like, okay, yeah, maybe you...
And then he's like, "Well, I didn't ask you for your opinion."
Yeah. It's like, he's going to have to get some marriage counseling because I think you put the nail on the head. She's not giving up her job anytime soon, and
Oh no.
he's trying to put a family down on her when clearly she's not ready.
I mean, their phone conversations were painful
Oh, no,
to listen to.
yeah, absolutely.
Because she's like, I want to make it up to you. Let's have dinner, and he's like, yeah. And I mean, you could just see the wheels turning, and then later she's like calling, I can't make it, get Chinese food. And he's sitting there with a huge banquet of food he made for her for dinner. And he's just heartbroken.
Yeah, of course, then he's on the phone with Jolene. Hey, what's up? Is that, is that invitation still good?
Oh, yeah. And then he was out the door.
Oh, yeah.
Enjoying himself, a little bit of wine, a little gallery.
If it wasn't the fact that she's right now our unsub, that you got the feeling that this would be a done deal. He's out the door. This would be the end, but it can't be.
No, because she's playing him.
Oh, absolutely.
So
yeah.
So I wonder how that's going to come about. I wonder if Liz is going to figure it out, or if they're going to play it out a couple episodes with Jolene kind of stringing him along, kind of pulling him away.
It'll be, do they have the patience to do that over a couple
well, and that's an interesting kind of turn of events, because we really don't want Liz held down at home and settling down. He's doing something else, then she can do her own thing while he's doing his.
Right.
So she's not being pulled toward his direction. She's just being pulled more into Red's, circle tighter.
Now,
so, I mean, maybe that's Jolene's role. Maybe it's just to keep her husband away from her so she can do stuff for Red.
That could be. We need to find out whether she's working for Red and trying to pull him away, or, I almost have the feeling that if she is Lucy Brooks, then I think it's somebody else. Because if she was working for Red, he wouldn't be looking for her and going through this whole thing about getting the list that we know she's on. He's looking for this girl.
Yeah, he's looking for her.
Right. So she can't be working for Red. Although the motivation all points back in Red's direction. Or maybe is it the people that Tom's been working for, and maybe they're starting to get a little impatient and thinking, this whole thing with Liz is getting to be a mess. But it's definitely
so
somebody's driving
me
this.
Wonder about what they would want to do with her husband, and I don't know. That seems we need a little bit more information to be able to figure it out.
Yeah,
I'm hoping maybe in the next episode they'll give us a little bit more information about Jolene and what she's really doing, and whether or not Red is actually looking for her, or if she's working for him. Hopefully in the next week we'll be able to talk more about that.
So what are people talking about? What's the Twitter chatter?
The Serial.com put out a list of like 31 questions that are still waiting to be answered. So that was pretty cool to read through.
31 questions?
Questions that, one of them happened to be about Liz's scar on her hand, because if you look at it, it's kind of shaped funny. And so they were comparing it to the symbol on the box in her house with where they found all of the passports and weapons and stuff. There was a symbol on the box, and it resembles the symbol on her hand. So everyone's like, well, what does that mean? Is there something actually to that? They have the same questions we do about Red and who he's looking for, and what's his role with Liz. Why does, is he her father, or is there something else going on?
Yeah,
so a lot of the things we talked about tonight are things the people on Twitter are talking about.
Right. The funny thing is, I never noticed that connection between the scar on her hand and the box. So
yeah, you should go back and look at it. I looked at it pretty close today. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty close. It's really interesting. So there is some history in the fire that they're gonna be building on. And she's going to have a realization about what's going on.
Well, maybe Tom's in an organization that's trying to protect Liz, or because, how does he get a hold of a box that clearly that she's had in her house during the fire? That's a crazy connection.
Yeah, that's a crazy connection.
So,
and then, when they keep bringing up the bunny, where she picks the bunny up and she has a flashback to a fire.
Yeah. There's still a lot of questions unanswered. And of course, we're still halfway.
I know that they're going to be building more on that.
Yeah, we're still only halfway through the first season, so there's so far to go. It's just, how long are they going to kind of make us wait, I guess that's the big question.
Yeah, that is. I'm hoping they'll wrap up some of the stuff for this season, but it's going to be a fun journey along the way to as we get little pieces here and there to be able to put the puzzle together.
All right. So, well, speaking of the puzzles, we're we've kind of got back to the family and the alchemist. They figure, oh, he's eliminating all the people that have seen him or know about him. And Liz says, oh my God, his family. So they go back and there's the mom and the kid. And I don't know about
They're
you,
laying on the floor dead.
right? The first
Yeah,
thing
that was pretty creepy.
it was, but the first thing right out of the top of my head is this is exactly what this guy does. That's not mom and the baby.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, about the time we come to realization, Liz does.
right.
She's like, I want to put out a Amber Alert on the daughter.
Yeah, because he's fooled nobody, and of course, and
Oh yeah,
and that's what Red got Liz to do is profile this
no,
guy,
it's just
and
yeah,
she's that's how she figured he's the lab rat. That's how she figured this guy is not only a loner, but he still in his mind believes that his family is intact, even though they haven't seen him in 6 years, or he pops in like occasionally just to kind of check on things. But
yeah, and then it shows about that point. It shows him in the car with wife and daughter,
yeah, so that that
or
didn't
the
really
mother and the.
yeah, the mother and the daughter.
That wasn't too much of a surprise.
No. We had a whole episode of exactly what this guy does, but it was kind of a surprise that how they triangulated his position.
Yeah, that was a surprise. Well, and then when they stop for gas or to get something inside, and they go inside, and then the cashier sees the Amber Alerts calling, and then all hell breaks loose. And he's like, well, no one's gonna find us, no one's gonna find us. And he's like, let's just get her a candy bar. And she's like, she's diabetic. And it's like he didn't even know she was diabetic. And he pulled up her shirt and looked at her insulin pack on her pants, and he's like, oh my gosh. He's like, I'm totally made.
Right.
So that's when he's like, they're gonna come after us, and there's no way out.
Right. And so they're kind of pinned down. The SWAT team is out there. The snipers are in place. And of course, here's come Garrett and Liz.
Yeah. And he's like, you're gonna have to talk to my boss. And she's just like, laser gun down, just starts walking
You can't do that.
towards the door. And they're like, wait a minute. She's like, oh, bullshit, I can't.
That was funny. And
oh, that was pretty awesome.
And of course, I really thought she was going to kind of take him down. They did a close up when he set down one of those pistols, and I didn't think much about it. I really thought Liz was going to go in and save the day. And of course, Mom picks up the gun and
I wasn't expecting the outcome.
right. And Mom just shoots him in the back a couple times and it's done.
Yeah, before Liz could even talk to him.
And it's just like
I was like, no, wait.
get my daughter a medic. The thing was, the reason that they really wanted to corner him is to get all the names, but they were able to recover that from the drive.
From the document.
Yeah, so, it was a win-win for everybody. The Alchemist is done. The family won't be tortured by this guy anymore. The little girl is going to get her medical attention after being shot, and life goes on.
Yeah, and then we have Liz sitting in a church waiting for Red to come in.
Yeah.
That was a good little, he comes in and sits down next to her. I like how it seems like in every episode they kind of have a little meetup at the end, and it's different every time.
It was
like a little intimate moment where they can kind of talk about what's been going on, and
of course
we get a little tidbit of information.
Of course, he wasn't as intimate this time. He just kind of says, takes the list, and she says, "You put us on this chase just to get the list." And he was like, "Yep," and just walks out. No, how you doing? And no, how do you do? Farewell or nothing. Just okay. Well, yeah, I got my list. Bye. Until I get.
Yeah.
I'm looking for this mole, and nothing's going on until
he figures it out.
Until he figures it out. And
yeah, because he's still hunting. So, he's kind of still in the middle of his, he hasn't gotten to the point where he wants to be yet. So he's still kind of moving forward, where she was kind of done with her, with the Alchemist and what had gone on in the last couple of days. And it looked like she was a little defeated a little bit. Like it wasn't quite the outcome that she wanted.
I think she was looking for that little talk at the end, or some sort of little tidbit of information. Her love life is going to crap. Look like Garrett is getting looks like I think that was his ex-wife or girlfriend that.
It was his girlfriend. Yeah, we didn't really touch on that too much. It's not really a high point, but people are questioning her role. They want to know if she's really was, if it's just an innocent thing, girlfriend thing, or if she's kind of a plant too. That was a couple of people questioning about that.
Well,
But
we haven't
it,
seen much of her, but I think it was much like you've seen in the movies where, he's gotten shot, he's seriously injured, he might lose his life, and maybe she realizes, this is kind of what he does, and she kind of reassesses what life would be like without. There's that kind of Florence Nightingale kind of, want they're kind of back
yeah, like they're back together. They're
rekindling the love because
yeah,
he almost died. So,
yeah. Well, Liz's world is kind of falling apart with her husband, and
yeah. Keen's got a new girlfriend, ignoring Liz's calls, partying at thing. So, that really makes me wonder if he's really there as a plant to kind of keep after Liz. Why would he be doing that? He would take whatever comes and like, okay, well, this is part of the gig and I got to be there. But he's genuinely pissed and he's got this girl.
yeah, he's gonna take it out on her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like I'm done right now. I kind of need a break. He's like, I need a break. I need to do something where I'm not thinking about all this other stuff going on. I just need to go do something mindless for a little while.
Yeah, I don't think it takes away the fact that he's got to be some sort of secret agent, but I think that what this has to do with Liz might be irrelevant. It might have something to do with her department and definitely maybe on an opposite side or something, but I really do think that the thing with him and Liz, if they're going in this direction, seems to be some sort of genuine thing.
Yeah, she got home with the Chinese and noticed all the plates that he had made dinner, and you could see that she was pretty defeated at that point.
At the very end, we've kind of wrapped everything up and we think everything is over. And then we see Mira. We got a little hint.
Yes, and I
We got a little hint that our mole was, what was the quote, was attractive but curious.
yeah. I like that. Last week we were talking about and how I talked about how Mira was something off about her, that she was, everyone was being questioned and she got off there. The director's like, you've been cleared. And I was just like, that's a little weird, that she's been cleared and everyone else is still being investigated. So I was kind of happy to see that, when he was pulling out the document, when they got all the documents together and at the bottom it said Mira Malik. And I was just like, Malik! I was like, yes.
I totally thought about you then. I was like, dang it. Melissa was totally called it, and I poo-pooed it because she really just kind of told him what Liz had really said, but you got that kind of weird vibe about it. And sure enough, she was trying to play the group leader and the director of their operation. And I thought back to that. And the funny thing was, she was really put in from the director, I think, is that the director of the FBI.
Yeah, because she's a CIA field agent.
Right, and that was part
implanted into their
right. So
into their group.
Right. So is the mole? Is this coming from the CIA, and she's reporting to the congressional committee, or who is she the mole to?
Yeah, that's hopefully we'll find that out next week, since the preview shows Red and her together and he's questioning her about information.
Right. Red asks her, do you know why I'm here? And of course,
she says yes, because I'm the mole.
And you're going to kill me.
Yep.
I don't think he's going to kill her, though. I think he's going to...
Oh, no, he's going to use her.
He's got the woman in the middle. She can now be the double agent. So he's got somebody very close to Liz, inside Liz's team and on the other side. And of course, he knows that he can play her against the group, kind of, if he can keep her in line. She seemed like somebody on the outside for the entire time. And of course, this fake distrust of Liz, it really kind of got, to me, like a little tiresome. And now we know the reason why is she was using some subterfuge.
Yeah, she was trying to undermine her.
It's funny how she's trying to call everybody out and she's all high and mighty, and she's the one that's been putting everybody's lives in danger.
Exactly.
So I can't wait till the next time because I really want to find out what Red has in store for her.
Oh, me too. He's so fun. He's fun to watch.
He may use her and then get rid of her anyway.
Yeah, he may.
Especially if he finds out, a lot of the pain and stuff that he's endured in the past couple episodes has really been because of her.
Exactly.
We don't know the depth of it, but I think she's going to be around at least for a couple more episodes.
I hope so. I think that'll be pretty fun for the story.
Yeah, and I would miss her from the team because I think she's a nice element in that mix.
Do you think he's going to pull her out and put her back in the team?
I think so. If he can kind of keep her in control as, like
rein her in a little bit and use her.
Right. Like
get
now
information from her.
He's the handler and she's got to play both sides. She'll be a perfect.
Yeah, she could be a double agent.
Yeah, she's the perfect asset if he can keep a hold of her.
Well, he's usually pretty good about that.
Yeah. Of course, she's a pretty strong personality. She may try and bolt or kind of kick back, and of course we know Red is just ruthless in that aspect.
Oh, yeah. He's going to keep a short leash on her.
Yeah. So I think through her, we're going to answer maybe a few of those 31 questions.
Yeah.
I think next time we should have a list of the 31 and start keeping track and see.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Kind of see if we can figure it out on our own.
Yeah, so stay alert, stay listening, and we'll try and take off our blacklist of 31 and see what happens. So is there anything else? Have we kind of gotten to the end, or?
I think so. I think that we covered everything from the episode and added more questions to our questions.
Yep, maybe now we have 32 now. We'll have to check our blacklist.
We'll have to check our own list.
Yeah, the Jack and Melissa blacklist. All right, well, this has been really fun. I'm going to put this all together and wrap it up here. This has been the SMG Blacklist podcast, which is brought to you by the Southgate Media Group. Check out our webpage at southgatemediagroup.com, or my Twitter is jwengroski, and yours?
At MS Maxi.
And don't forget our sponsors who've been really kind to help us out is Tweaked Audio. Go to tweakedaudio.com and use the code Southgate, and you can get some really cool headphones. They're really top of the line. They're affordable. There's one with a microphone. I'm going to try and get one and do at least one podcast. See what it sounds like and share. Everybody can kind of give us a little feedback there. And don't forget to donate there's a PayPal if you really like what we do and want to help us out. We really need some support here, so go to the southgatemediagroup.com and click on the donate. And this has been Jack Wengroski with my host,
Melissa Maxi.
And we will see you for the next one on the list.
See you then.
And I almost said bye again.
If you would like to donate to help pay for this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts, simply go to our website, southgatemediagroup.com, and click on the donate button. It can be as little as $1 or, well, as much as you want. Help keep this fun going by supporting this and our other shows. Thanks again for listening, everyone. You're the best fans in the world.